Welcome to the question and answers on diabetes. Now, it's vital if you can click and subscribe, share this information because we can literally change the world. Question one uh, from Commander Noodles. What do you do with those with hypoglycemia without medications? Number one, look at the cause of it. Okay, when you're looking at hypoglycemia, it could be from if your schedule changes, if your menstrual cycle, low fat stores. Remember, your brain is hungry for glucose. So if you don't have healthy amounts of fat to burn, that's it. Extreme exercise before going to bed, that's also a big time deal. Alcohol, that can be a big factor. So when you're looking at this, look at chronic states of stress, such as adrenal fatigue and excess cortisol. So there's going to be a lot of contributing factors. Look at the actual cause. And I've never seen a cause of hypoglycemia that means that you're short of medications. So look at the underlying physical, chemical, emotional stress. Look at the other factors that you may have, such as toxic deficient diet. But really look at the underlying stressors, and then you're going to see your blood glucose normalize. Now, question two, red light and methylene blue. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. When you're looking at any thoughts about red light therapy and methylene blue for mitochondrial function and charge relevant for diabetes too, absolutely. When you look at methylene blue, I mean, it's FDA approved compound used for certain cyanide poisoning. It also oxygenates the red blood cells. It's amazing. Okay, but it is a chemical, so you can get too much of it. But when you're looking at methylene blue, for malaria, it's amazing. But also, it's fantastic for allowing the red blood cells to hold more oxygen and also allow those red blood cells to give up that oxygen. Okay, I mean, it's amazing. There's some contraindications to it though, too. There's a couple of blood disorders. One of them is the CG6DP, and this can be a problem to metabolize it. Also, look at pregnancy. Nursing mothers should avoid it for sure. And if you're taking medications, it's interesting that high blood pressure medications can negatively affect this. And there's a lot of medications that are dangerous. But look at the effects of it. It's incredible for memory because it is an antioxidant, so it can help with tissue production. It does help mitochondrial function, and these are the energy or the powerhouses of the cells that allow the cells, in all cells in the body, except for the red blood cells, have to take in nutrients, produce proteins, and eliminate waste products. And they need the mitochondria to produce that energy, and methylene blue actually helps that. Amazing. But, it's used for Lyme disease. You can use it for a lot of off-label uses. But make sure that it's being directed by somebody that knows the function, the toxic effects of it, and when it shouldn't be used. And red light therapy is amazing. This is one of the things that I recommend for everyone, because when you look at the equator, the way the world is, the closer to the equator, the less type 1 diabetes, the less breast cancers. So the red light actually can pierce the skin. Some of the red lights can go up to 2 inches deep, and it increases collagen production. It increases vitamin D production. It is one of the greatest things in the world. And this is what I recommend for most of my patients who live north of the equator, but absolutely incredible. And when you're looking again at methylene blue, neuroprotective effects, it's incredible. And if used correctly, can be life-changing. Now, what's the connection between chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes? Do the dietary recommendations stay the same? I'm hearing that some types of leafy greens and vegetables are bad for chronic kidney disease, and protein as well. So confusing and concerning. Thanks for the information, Doc. Okay, when you're looking at chronic kidney disease, look at blood toxicity, because you've got the 3 blood filters. You've got the kidneys, you've got the lungs, and you've got the liver. And you've got the 4 detox pathways: respiration, perspiration, bowel movements, and urination. when the kidneys are negatively affected, and they're negatively affected by toxic foods, processed foods, and medications, all can negatively affect kidney function. So you actually have to increase to deal with the chronic kidney disease, increase the other detox pathways. So that means increase bowel movements. And when you're just know that every human being has this automatic nervous system, and it's in two parts. Sympathetic means fight or flight. Parasympathetic is rest, digest, and repair and regeneration. So basically, your body has two switches: stress response and protection, or regeneration. And if the kidneys are being damaged from blood toxicity or chemicals or some other factors, then you've got to increase the bowel movements. So that means getting healthy fibers, getting more water, and that's going to actually help the body detox the system. Increase perspiration, so that means sweat boxes, infrared saunas are going to be amazing. Deep diaphragmatic breathing also helps the kidneys, because when you're detoxing, and I just let out not just carbon dioxide, but cellular byproducts. So that actually helps de-stress out the kidneys. So look at the other detox pathways: the perspiration, the breathing, the bowel movements, okay? Incredible to de-stress out that area. And type 2 diabetes is basically a blood poisoning, also from chronic stress. And you only have physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. Because when you're looking at type 2 diabetes, under any type of stress, your body requires more energy. And so that means that the liver is going to start to break glycogen down to glucose so that you can get that fast energy to get away from danger. But if you have, because in type 2 diabetes, there's plenty of insulin, but there's too much energy in the blood. And this could be from the toxic foods that are, let's say, nutrient deficient, but energy rich. Particularly toxic seed oils, absolutely dangerous, and they're not designed for human consumption. With you're looking at corn oil, canola oil, safflower oil, cottonseed oil. I mean, none of these things are designed for human consumption. So look at healthy fats. That's going to be one of the main things. Now, dark green leafy vegetables, if they're sautéed, when you have type 2 diabetes and chronic kidney disease, they are high in alkaloids, and this can slow down the thyroid function. But if you saute them, then you get, break that down a bit, and then you can get the nutrient value, because dark green leafy vegetables are loaded with nutrients. But if you are in a chronic state of stress, just like you have that automatic nervous system, you've got the adrenal glands and thyroid, and adrenal glands are going to be responding under physical, chemical, emotional stress. And the thyroid, when you're in that regenerative stage, that's going to be active. And the alkaloids in a side of dark green leafy vegetables can slow down the thyroid function. But if they are sautéed, man, you absolutely get the benefit effects of it. So look at the other detox pathways to de-stress out the kidneys, and then you can start to reverse that, because just remember, it's a blood filter, and the association with the blood toxicity from type 2 diabetes. And look at all of the data out there on how to reverse the type 2 diabetes by doing diet changes, increase your exercise, change your sleep patterns, look at the physical, chemical, emotional stress, and you're going to start to see your body normalize. I encourage you to look at Dr. Gabriel Cousin's work, and the video is Simply Raw. Amazing. All the type 2 diabetics, by changing the diet, and he utilizes raw food, but you can also have similar effects doing carnivore diet. It's amazing. And there's also effects on ketogenic diets. So you really have to look at what the blood poisoning is, or the type 2 diabetes cause, address the underlying stressors, and then you can de-stress out the kidney. And kidneys are one of the fastest repairing organs you got. So look at the actual cause, and your body can regenerate. Question 4, pre-diabetic. My son is pre-diabetic. He's only 30 years old. He exercises regularly and takes berberine herbs, but he still has diabetes. He has lost weight and is not on any medications. Can you help my son? Absolutely. I always joke with my patients, pre-diabetic, you're also pre-dead. Okay, so pre-diabetic means that the body is under stress. Exercise is fantastic because that burns up the excess energy. But look at the nutrients that he's taken in. His diet should be the same as his great great grandfather, because what was in the 10,000 generations that preceded him. So what is that? That means organic, healthy fats. Okay, so look at healthy animal fats, small fish, organic dairy, not the hormone laden dairy that's in a lot of different products. I'm talking organic, healthy, hormone free, grass fed. French butter is amazing because it still has good, healthy bacteria in it and tastes amazing. But when you're looking at the cause of this, it is a blood poisoning. And also sleep patterns are big. Excessive exercise and too little exercise are both going to have a negative effect on the body. So, number one, let's look at the physical stressors. And one of the cool things when I'm looking at somebody who's pre-diabetic, that means they could be under a chronic state of stress. And that could be poor sleep patterns, it could be some kind of physical stressor, or it could be chemical stressors from toxic environment, medications, or certain medical interventions that we can't actually talk about because those are big. They can create an inflammatory response, but puts the body under stress. So looking at the physical stressors, and we recommend doing static and stress x-rays of the entire structure. Because if that structure is deviated, and this could be a traumatic birth, if you had Pitocin or an epidural, this means that there could have been birth trauma. Could be a vacuum extraction. C-section birth has 4 times the amount of pressure on a kid's neck. So those stressors, physical stressors, could be from birth on. And then there could be other traumas. And I mean little ones, not traumas that would have brought him to the hospital. I mean going down the slide backwards when he was 7, or the skateboarding injuries, or all the little traumas. Because remember, you've got that automatic nervous system, and it's in 2 parts, sympathetic, fight or flight. Parasympathetic is regeneration. But the parasympathetic is located in the pelvis and in the neck area. So if there is a structural problem in those areas, his regeneration is going to be impaired, but also he's going to be in a chronic state of fight or flight. And that's going to require that liver to keep continually breaking that glycogen down to glucose. So the blood sugar is going to be elevated because he's under a chronic physical stressor. Chemical stressor is going to be diet and poor sleep patterns. And then emotional stressors. Just know that if you can master your emotions, you actually can change your physiology. Because under any perceived stress, like if we're watching a scary movie and you don't like scary movies, bam, your body's going to go into that fight or flight state to run away from the guy with the hockey mask and the chainsaw. So just perception of stress. And we recommend neurolinguistic programming. We actually teach that to every patient so you can deal with the emotional stressors. Also look at diaphragmatic breathing. Amazing to oxygenate the brain and get that brain out of the stress state and to help with that. So addressing the underlying physical, chemical, emotional stressors, and you'll see his body start to regenerate. And the other factors that we can't talk about on social media are certain medical interventions. Maybe in the future we will be able to. I know pre-2019 I was able to explain that on social media. Hopefully in the future we'll be able to have a free conversation. Question 5 from Tony Powers, 123, is type 1 reversible as well as type 2 or just type 2 only? Another person asked, what about type 1 and retinopathy and neuropathy, 62-year-olds with diabetes? Okay, when you're looking at eye issues, and that's the retinopathy, very, very small blood vessels in there. And one of the things with type 2 diabetes and type 1 is the blood becomes thick. Type 1 diabetes, and look at the job of insulin. Insulin's job is to get the energy or the glucose out of the blood into the cell. And insulin's job is to knock on the cell wall. The cell opens up and the glucose or energy rushes into the cell. Now, there's been damage to the pancreas in type 1. That means it can't produce enough insulin. And so the blood becomes thick. And this is why You're looking at neuropathy as well, because this is going to limit the ability of that nervous system to communicate back up to the brain. Then you're looking at clogged veins and clogged arteries. And this is going to cause the small blood vessels in the eyes to affect vision. It's also going to cause a lot of the arteries that function in the brain and the periphery to not react correctly to the stimulus. So that means the nerves aren't going to work. That's where the nerve problem or neuropathy comes from. And retinopathy just means pathy means problem. So it means a problem with the blood vessels in the eye. So it's really blood toxicity that's affecting the neuropathy and the retinopathy. So in type 1 can be changed, and you can reduce the insulin usage or the synthetic insulin that keeps these people alive by dealing with the underlying causes. And that's going to be the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. And if you check out the Gabriel Cousens video, Simply Raw, I think he had 6 diabetics, some type 1, some type 2. Even one of the type 1s got cured. And how do you do this? You look at the physical stressors, because if somebody has some type of physical trauma in the past, that's going to put them in a chronic state of stress. And that chronic state of stress, the body's going to need more energy to run away from the danger. It's also going to affect absorption of the tissue. So diet is huge. If you're taking in toxic seed oils, which are loaded with energy and have very, very poor nutrient factors. So, and then you're looking at processed foods, packaged foods. And again, in order to make a food product that has a longer shelf life, you got to remove some of the metabolic and digestive enzymes. So you get this and you can't break it down, so the body stores it, these nutrients. And that creates a toxic effect on the system, where you're artificially raising the energy of the blood in the body. If the pancreas has been damaged from some type of chemical or medical intervention, this is why they used to call type 1 childhood onset, because of something damaged the pancreas. Some chemical in the environment, could be a genetic anomaly during gestation that maybe the mom was exposed to something. But then people started to develop damage to the pancreas in later years. That's why they used to call type 2 adult onset, because it took years of poisoning to damage that system. And in type 2 diabetes, there is plenty of insulin. It's just the blood toxicity that has to be addressed. So by dealing with the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, you can reduce the amount of synthetic insulin that is required. And the less insulin that you use and the more your body can produce, the better and longer and healthier you're going to live. So look at the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors, and you are going to see a big change. And it's interesting about the diet changes. You can see changes when people go carnivore, but that you got to have healthy animal products. People go keto, and that's going to be, a couple of weeks on, a week off. So you can't be in chronic keto, because your body's going to adapt to that. And there's nutrient elimination, okay? And so you've got the Gabriel Cousens, which is using raw food, 100% raw vegetable foods, no processed foods. So all of those work, but you've got to really look at the underlying causative factors, and then your body can start to regenerate, particularly if it's one of the medical interventions that we can't talk about on this forum. There's ways to detox the system and to start to help the body get back to a healthy metabolic state. So you can help, absolutely. Can you reverse it? In some cases, but it really depends on getting to that damage quickly. But you absolutely can reduce the synthetic insulin that keeps these people alive by dealing with the underlying stressors that are going to cause an increase in that energy production. And exercise, sleep pattern changes, and emotional components. Bonus question for recommendations from James Z Fantasy. Hey, Dr. Bergman, I truly, truly love your practice in critical thinking. I have commented before on Instagram on a video which you responded. God bless you, brother. I have really been sick with many awful symptoms and issues since 2018. And being only 30 years old, I desperately have wanted to come to see you for years. I got sick to get answers and help, however, because of some traumas in my life and being on the East Coast with not much funds to travel to California or Mexico. I was wondering if there's any programs you offer, like resources for someone like me in my situation to come to see you, or if you might know a doctor you would recommend in Pennsylvania area. I do. I truly love you, Dr. Bergman. Brother, it's equal. I love you too, man. And your practice, I've watched you for years. I might also try to start asking churches for assistance, but really, I was wondering if there was anything you could recommend. Yeah, we've got a huge website that's going to be up in the next couple of months. It's adaptivephysiology.com. It's not ready yet, but we're going to have classes on there and courses that I want to teach, not actual chiropractic, but things that you can do that we do in the office that I teach all my patients to deal with the underlying physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. So that website is going to be amazing when it gets up. But if anyone's ever built an international website, realize that every country has different download speeds. There's a lot of challenges with building something like that. So that's in the works, and that's going to be coming down because we literally, buy a guy a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for life. You teach somebody how your body reacts to the environmental stressors, what those stressors are, and how your body can adapt. Man, you're changing lives. There's a practice or doc, brilliant doc, and he is actually a blood brother of mine. He is amazing. Dr. Dane Donahue. He is in Newtown, Pennsylvania. And if you're close to him, beautiful. If not, he is honorable and a really, really good chiropractor. So Dane Donahue, Newtown, Pennsylvania. Give him a call, and when you see him, give him a hug from me. And God bless you, brother. I mean, keep spreading the good news. Now, if your question wasn't answered here, we have to separate the questions still. Please visit the DRB VIP or drbvip.com site, and we're going to get to all of the rest of the questions there. God bless you, my friends, and stay healthy.